Hello everyone, I'm here to show you a few tricks of things that I've learned this last few years, some of the products that I have come across that are pretty cheap and they're pretty good alternatives to some of the brand name products you find around. I'm going to start with a receiver, with a 2.4 receiver. This is the OrangeRx that you get from HobbyKing. Just for the record, I'm not making any advertising for this product. I'm just stating something that I've used in the past and it's been working great. When I first heard about this, I was hesitant because it was only a $6 receiver, and give or take. And my first thought was that how could something that cheap be as good as one of those receivers that cost you $40 or $50? And I stayed away from it, but then I saw somebody using it, so I decided to give it a shot. The guy was using this little receiver on a pretty pricey airplane, so I figured he must be pretty good if he's using it on that plane. So I went ahead and bought it. Of course, I picked my cheapest and most beat up plane to put it on and try it there. Now, one of the things I tried on this is the satellite receiver that you can buy for it. This is what it is. I put a little bit of Velcro on the back so I could attach it to the plane. But this is, I guess, a second receiver that you attach to it on a port on the side. So you kind of you attach it like so. And that's what it is. But then I heard someone talking about it, saying that they could get brownouts. So to avoid that, you can put a capacitor on one of the spare channels. So I bought a capacitor, and you put the capacitor, I put it on the aux channel, one of the spare channels. So the capacitor, what it does, I think, is just loads up with power, and then if you lose connection, that keeps it from losing the signal, something like that. I don't know. I just decided to go ahead and try it. This whole setup, the receiver costs about $5 or $6. The satellite, I don't know why, but it costs $11 or $12, and then the capacitor costs $1.50 or something like that. So I went ahead and bought this configuration, and I actually bought 5 of those at the same time. So if I would have bought a brand name receiver, I would have bought probably one, maybe two, probably one 6-channel receiver and one 4-channel receiver with $100 that I spent on 5 of these. I'm using them with the Spectrum DX7 radio, the old model, and just make sure it's compatible with DSM2, which is what this is. And again, this is what I've been using, and actually I started using this, and that's all I've used ever since. And I actually made my move from 72 megahertz when I bought my DX7 radio, which I bought used, and then I bought all these receivers to try it with. So the receiver is pretty simple to set up. As you can see, just you get the receiver, and when you set it on the plane, make sure the receiver is sitting on one spot and the satellite is somewhere else, and make sure the antennas are perpendicular to each other. So as you can see, this one goes across, and then the one on the receiver points the other way. So kind of like so. But make sure they are separated. I guess that gives you the best range. Who knows? I'm not going to get into too much technical stuff, but I'm just giving you what I've been using and it works. So to bind the receiver to the radio, on my radio, so you first connect the binding plug, which they provide, and you connect it on the battery port, and you go ahead and connect that, and then you put some power on. You get power on the receiver. I'm going to use this battery pack that I have. This is on nickel metal hydride batteries, 2200 milliamps. So you connect this in any spare channel. So I'm going to connect on any of them. And once I get that, then the receiver starts blinking pretty fast. So I'm going to show you that. It's blinking. I'm going to turn on my radio to bind it in binding mode. So once you do that, then the receiver turns off. Then blinks for a little bit, then the light should go off, turns off, and then it comes on and stays solid. At that point, your receiver is bound to your radio. So pretty simple. So connect the binding plug on the receiver first, have your radio off, plug in the battery on the receiver. Once you see the lights flashing really fast, then turn on your radio in binding mode. Your receiver will turn off, the lights on the receiver will turn off, then blink really fast, then turn off for a little bit, and then come on solid. If this doesn't happen, then it's not bound. So once it's solid, it's bound, so you can unplug the battery, unplug the bounding plug, and then now you can plug in your battery in the actual battery port, on the power port of the receiver, if I get to do that. So once you do that, then your receiver turns on like that. The light on the satellite, I haven't figured this out. Sometimes both stay solid, sometimes this one blinks and the one on the main receiver stays solid. I've flown both ways, haven't had any issues at all, so I'm not sure which one it is. If someone knows the trick, I would recommend it. I will ask for feedback. I will appreciate it if you leave it underneath. So here we go again. Now they're both blinking. I believe this is because I unplugged it and plugged it in right away. So this is sort of if you ever have a brownout, lose power for a little bit and then restore it, then your receiver is going to tell that. So if you're flying on an airplane 2.4 and then you land and your receiver is flying like this, you probably had a brownout in the air. That's what I heard people saying, so I assume that's what it is. So I'm going to unplug it, turn off the radio, wait a couple of seconds, turn it back on, turn the radio on, and then plug this in one more time and see if that takes it away. Takes the blinking light away, and yeah, that's what it was. So as you can see, they're both solid, and that's how you do it. So the receiver is pretty cheap, pretty good alternative. So you get a 6-channel receiver you could get it for $6 only, and for $15 or $16 if you get a satellite, which I recommend, and then you can get the capacitor as well for $1. So $20 for a 6-channel 2.4 receiver, not bad. And then another thing too is that if you're using LiPo batteries, I don't think you need the capacitor. I recently just bought my first electric plane, so I put one of these receivers and I kept the capacitor. So I don't know if that makes a difference. It's just been working great. Any of my planes, doesn't matter how cheap or how expensive they are, this is what I use. Hope this helps for everyone, and if you have any questions, just leave your comments underneath.